What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video I want to talk about 5 things you can do to make the process of cutting, aka losing body fat, a lot easier and more enjoyable. I know a lot of you guys are trying to get lean for the summer, trying to get that summer body, including myself. I started my cut about 3-4 weeks ago, so I wanted to make this video to kind of make the process of cutting a lot more enjoyable. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and get. All right, so first and foremost, I know it goes without saying, it's kind of obvious, but it's to drink more water. I think a lot of people are not drinking enough water throughout the day, especially those people that are trying to lose body fat. And this is super important because especially in the mornings, I think it's most prominent in the morning. A lot of times when you wake up, a lot of people think they're starving, but it's actually because you're dehydrated because you haven't had water the last 8, 10, 12 or whatever hours of the day. So it's super important as soon as you wake up to have a glass or 2 of water, and that's gonna help alleviate a lot of your hunger in the morning, and it's gonna allow you to push your calories later on throughout the day. So you don't essentially need to have breakfast. And that'll allow you to have bigger lunches, dinners, etc., stuff like that. So not only for that though, but it's also important to drink enough water to keep hydrated, obviously, and that's gonna help you massively with your performance in the gym. And you wanna have your performance as optimal as possible to retain as much muscle as possible, because obviously the goal of the cut is to lose fat and not just weight. Tip number 2 is to eat more high volume foods. This helps me massively with my cut because it allows me to eat more food and feel more satisfied with the meals that I eat. So what I mean by high volume foods is there's foods that are high in volume and low in calories, and there's foods that are high in calories and low in volume. So some on this side, for example, would be like nuts and oils that are extremely calorically dense and they don't really fill you up. On this side, for example, it's gonna be stuff like tilapia, egg whites, salads, obviously vegetables are very high in volume and pretty low in calories, relatively speaking. So you wanna have majority of your diet on this side, the higher volume side, because it'll allow you to eat more food and make you feel fuller throughout the day, which is obviously what you want. You don't want to be starving all day when you're cutting. Okay, so the third and probably the most important tip of this video is to consume more protein. So there's actually a lot of benefits of consuming more protein. One being that protein is the most satiating macronutrient of the 3 of protein, fats, and carbs, which means that you're gonna feel a lot fuller, more satisfied with a higher protein diet, and you're not as likely to binge on other foods because you're gonna feel fuller throughout the day. 2, it has more of a thermogenic effect than protein or than carbs and fats as well, which means that your body requires more calories to break down protein versus carbs and fats. And third, probably the most important, is that in my opinion, a cut should be based on losing body fat and not overall weight, which means that your body is retaining as much muscle mass as possible. And this is hugely important because the more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism is and the more calories you're gonna be burning at rest, which is what you want. So to make sure this happens, you want to be consuming enough protein so that your body is forced to use adipose tissue, aka your fat cells, as a source of energy rather than your muscle tissue as energy. So you wanna have enough protein to protect your muscles and put your body in a state where you're just burning fat ideally. And a general recommendation of how much protein you should be consuming is between 0.7 and 1 gram per pound of body weight every single day. So me, for example, I weigh about 200 pounds, so I typically consume about 200 grams of protein every single day. So my 4th tip would be to consume more coffee or caffeine or low calorie / no calorie drinks or beverages. Stuff like BCAAs, for example, in my opinion, are great drink to have that helps suppress your appetite, as well as to help deal with any cravings for sweets or junk food that you may have, because they're pretty sweet in general. Besides that though, in my opinion, BCAAs are not really beneficial beyond that. I know a lot of people tell you to take BCAAs when you are cutting to help preserve muscle mass and all that stuff, but if your diet is optimized, then BCAAs are practically useless. So that is really the only benefit I see from BCAAs. That helps you with appetite as well as with cravings that you might have. And then obviously with coffee and caffeine, caffeine is a major suppressant of appetite as well, so it does lower your appetite quite a bit. You typically have like 1 coffee a day and then like 1 cup of BCAAs a day as well. So those 2 together will help you again massively control your appetite and then deal with cravings. And last but certainly not least is to not go beyond a 500 calorie deficit. In my opinion, anything beyond 500 calories below your maintenance calories is too aggressive in terms of you'll basically rebound really fast after you finish dieting. So for example, if your maintenance calories is 2,500 calories, so that's the amount you eat every single day to maintain your weight. If you go like 18, if you cut that by like 1,000 calories, then you might sustain that for like a month, maybe two. But after, you're gonna be so deprived of food because of the heavy restriction you put on yourself, that all you're gonna want to do is binge, and basically you're gonna end up at square one again. So I would never go beyond 500 calories. In my opinion, the most effective way to do it is find your maintenance calories and then slowly reduce your calorie intake. You want to eat as much as possible while still losing weight. So then once you stall, you keep lowering your calories until you're at that 500 calorie deficit, and then start adding in cardio to make that deficit a little bit bigger. But again, do not go beyond 500 calories below your maintenance. Otherwise, it's just not sustainable. And then once you are done dieting, all you're gonna want to do is binge and go back, basically end up where you started. So the slower you take it, the more sustainable and easier it is for you to maintain once you are done cutting. So there you guys have it. That's my top 5 tips on how to make a cut easier and more enjoyable. If you guys got anything out of this video, found any of these tips useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.